I'm Gassia Mikaelian at KTVU Fox 2 News, serving the San Francisco Bay Area. We're going to talk about how work is definitely changing by welcoming to this conversation Eric Nalbone, VP of Marketing for Drum. Thanks for joining me, Eric.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So we have all realized by now it is not business as usual. What are some of the biggest changes clients of Drum are now facing during the COVID-19 pandemic?
So we've seen a couple things. We've seen that the first thing is that obviously customer streams have been disrupted and businesses are trying to find new ways to promote themselves and try and find new ways to do that in a cost-effective manner, which is one of the things that we're here for. The second thing is that customers' lives have been disrupted, right? And customers are trying to find ways to supplement their income, try and find ways to continue to patronize the businesses that they know and love, even while their own lives are in pretty significant turmoil. And so we think that there are some real challenges there, but one that we're really hopeful that we can help solve.
I know that we've all seen the video of gyms, certainly here in California, and I'm guessing around the country, gyms are figuring out, look, how do we get people back through our doors? Because it's a very high risk situation. So, we had one report where people at gyms were putting up essentially kind of plastic shower curtain partitions. You had to make an appointment for your workout. You had to leave within 1 hour. I appreciate that sort of guideline, but there is a risk, I'm assuming, Eric, in making your customer feel restricted when they're saying, I want to show up at your business. I want to spend my money with you. How can a business balance those two factors?
I think that there are obviously restrictions, right? And they impact the businesses and they impact people that want to, on the spur of the moment, decide that I've got a little bit of time to go get my workout in, right? To use your example. But at the end of the day, I think that people that really want to patronize these businesses and the businesses themselves have their interests aligned, right? And they want the businesses to continue operating. And they want their kind of communities to stay intact, right? And so I think that generally people are willing to accept some of the restrictions that businesses are required to put in place. And what I think the best thing that we can do is to be understanding and tolerant of what those restrictions are and work around them to the best of our ability. And then the second thing is do what we can to promote the businesses in our community that we know and love and want to stay open, right? And I think that that's where we really have an opportunity to come together and promote businesses that we want to stay open, right? Spread the word, share the message, as it were, that these businesses are open again, even if the operating procedure has changed a little bit.
I know that word of mouth sort of is always the best advertising, right? A trusted friend or family member says, I found this great new coffee shop. Here's where it is. The owner's great. Go there. Outside of that, how can Drum help drum up that sort of excitement about a business that is really hoping to welcome customers in?
Well, so like you mentioned, word of mouth is just so powerful, right? And we all talk about businesses all the time to our friends, our family, our coworkers, our personal networks. Businesses have not had the ability to participate in that conversation. They certainly haven't had the ability to reward their customers when they do the really good work of sharing and spreading their business. So businesses are left with, a bunch of less than appealing options, right? What does it look like to spend a bunch of money on digital advertising where the money leaves your bank account and you don't know whether customers are going to come through the door or not? So Drum is designed to allow businesses to promote offers and for their customers or anyone who's really interested in the business, whether you're a customer or not, to pick up that offer and share it within your personal network and get rewarded and compensated when you do that. So whatever the offer is, whoever you share it with gets that offer, and then you get some form of incentive or commission when you do share that offer and a customer comes through the door. So we really think it's a great way for people to participate and get rewarded in this promotion of businesses that you do already. And we think it's a great way to really put businesses and their customers on the same side of the transaction, right? Make sure that everyone's incentives are the same. So that's what we're really excited to do.
Have you had some success stories you'd like to share?
We've seen all sorts of things all across the country. We've seen everything from home service companies, window washing companies, restaurants, things like that, all the way to e-commerce, national e-commerce companies posting offers. So we've seen everything from kind of local brick and mortar style businesses to national e-commerce, really having success posting offers and then people picking up those offers. And if you can put up a compelling offer that people are interested in, particularly if you can share that offer to your own customers and say, hey, there's a way that you can help us, and we're going to reward you for providing that help. We really are seeing great traction.
I'm a coupon gal from way back. And I remember back in the days where, my little sister would get a coupon for, $5 off a $20 purchase at Macy's. And she'd say, you know what, I'm not going to use this, but I'll give it to you. And I just felt like, wow, I was getting gold. Is this sort of the modern day version of that?
Well, I think it's not so much the modern day version of coupons and Groupon, right? Where where it's just there's an offer out there, and use it if you want, right? But it really is a way to accentuate the value of word of mouth, accentuate the value of how people really do find out about businesses, and that's not. Obviously, we all do our online research, but you validate your purchase through people that you know and people that you trust. And that's what we really think the value and the opportunity is here. So we think that, there's certainly value in coupons. There's certainly value in a site like Groupon that has a number of offers out there. But when that comes from a trusted source, someone that you know, someone that you speak to, someone whose face that you recognize, that really is just the extra layer that can help really validate a business and really validate what that offer is.
And so the app is Drum, DRUM. How long have you been around, and have you seen an uptick in activity since the pandemic began?
We have. So we've been developing the app for about a year. We ran a beta program in the fall of last year and then launched nationally in April of this year. So we actually launched right in the middle of the pandemic. We accelerated our development schedule a little bit because we realized that there was ever a time that businesses needed help and that individuals were going to really be interested in helping support those businesses. It was going to be right now. So it's a challenging time to launch a business, but we think that it's something that can really add value. We've waived all of our fees through any state of emergency at the either national or state level. So any money that a business pays goes directly into the pocket of a drummer who promotes that offer. And it's something that we had the ability to do based on kind of where we were at as a company. And we're really excited to be able to do that.
I know in the beginning of the pandemic, I went to my husband, I said, look, we are not spending any extra money, right? Like, everyone is worried about their job. And so I just said, we just need to be as conservative with our spending as possible. Now that we're 3 months into this, we've sort of revisited that sentiment. And I've said, you know what, sometimes those little luxuries, like the nice coffee, right? That can boost your spirits much more than it did when I bought that same nice coffee every 2 weeks pre-pandemic. Are you seeing spending habits change, maybe loosen up a little bit in that way?
Well, I think it's a double-edged sword, right? And I think that the first thing that we really have to be cognizant of is that 10, 12, 14% of the country is now unemployed, right? And so the spending habits for those individuals have certainly changed, and they've absolutely clamped down. For people who have managed just to get through the last several months employed, I think that we've seen a shift, right? And I think a lot of people actually are potentially spending less money than they used to, right? They're not going out to eat as much. They're certainly not driving as much. There's very significant elements that actually are savings, and I think people are realizing that you can take those savings, and if you are in a position to support your community and support the economy, people are realizing that you can actually do that and still be actually better off than you may have been beforehand. And people are really willing to do that. So I think that there really is a community spirit developing. And we see that where people are willing to support the businesses in their community. They're willing to spend money if it means that the places that they know, the places that they love, and the places that make home really feel like home will continue to be there. So
Right.
we've seen kind of both sides of that coin. And obviously we have tremendous empathy for those who have lost their income and for businesses who have had to shut their doors. But at the same time, I think that those of us who still are lucky enough to have income are really excited about doing what we can to grow and support our own communities again.
Yeah. No, I always say you vote with every dollar you spend, and never have I felt better buying the nice coffee from our locally owned coffee shop. So
Absolutely.
since I have you, before we finish up, you're talking to us from Atlanta. Can you give us a picture of what Atlanta is like these days? Are people coming back to work at the office? Are people wearing face masks in public? Are people riding public transit? Just give me a picture of what's happening in your city.
Absolutely. So we're seeing some locations start to open up. My wife works for a local college, a college in the University of Georgia education system. They've opened up their offices on a provisional basis and are bringing people back to work on a rotational schedule. Our company has actually decided to go fully remote permanently. So we're adjusting to what life at home looks like on a long-term basis. We're seeing restaurants, shops open back up, but we are kind of monitoring what's happening with COVID rates. And so I think that it's impossible to live in Georgia and see the climbing COVID infection rates, and then look at South Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Texas. We're kind of right in that hot spot. And so I think that we're all kind of anxiously awaiting next steps and trying to understand what's going to happen here. So we're cautiously optimistic. People are trying to go back to normal as much as they can. We're seeing pretty good uptake in mask wearing out in public. Certainly not 100%, but we're seeing them become more and more prevalent and normalized, and we're excited about what that could hopefully do for us. But I think, like everyone else, we're just in a wait and see mode as we open back up.
All right. Well, good to hear from you. Nice to talk with you. Thank you so much, Eric Nalbone, VP of Marketing for Drum. I appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. And we have much more information on how work is being affected by COVID-19 and how people's purchasing can also be affected. You can find that anytime at coronavirusnow.com.